On a clear morning in South Texas, an enormous steel rocket stands against the sky, taller than the Statue of Liberty, heavier than any machine humans have ever tried to lift into orbit. Its engines ignite, a tower of fire. The ground shakes, and somewhere, watching a live stream hunched over a laptop or pacing behind mission control glass, is the man who decided this had to exist. Elon Musk. To some, he is a visionary, the billionaire who made electric cars cool, redefined space travel, and pushed humanity toward a multi-planetary future. To others, he is reckless, a volatile CEO, a chaotic force on social media, and a symbol of how much power a single tech mogul can hold. Love him or hate him, his influence on technology, industry, and culture is undeniable. This is the life story of Elon Musk, from a quiet boy in South Africa to one of the most polarizing and powerful figures of the 21st century. Chapter 1. The Boy Who Disappeared into Books. Elon Reeve Musk was born on June 28, 1971, in Pretoria, South Africa, during the height of apartheid. His childhood, by his own later accounts, was not easy. He was the eldest of 3 children, Elon, his brother Kimball, and his sister Tosca. His parents divorced when he was young. He spent much of his childhood moving between homes and feeling, as he has described it, isolated and out of place. At school, Elon was small, quiet, and bookish. That made him a target. He would later speak about being badly bullied, beaten to the point of hospitalization in one incident. Classmates recalled he often walked alone, lost in his thoughts. So he retreated into other worlds, science fiction, fantasy, encyclopedias. He reportedly read for hours each day, sometimes 2 books in a single day. He devoured the works of Isaac Asimov, J.R.R. Tolkien, Robert Heinlein, and Douglas Adams. Not just for entertainment, but as a kind of blueprint. Stories about civilizations rising and falling, about humans exploring the cosmos, about the responsibilities of intelligence and power. These ideas would stay with him. Around age 10, Elon discovered computers. A family computer, an early Commodore, became his new obsession. There was no internet to learn from, no YouTube tutorials. He taught himself programming from a manual. By age 12, he had coded a simple space-themed video game called Blastar. He sold it to a computer magazine for about $500. It wasn't a smash hit, but for a 12-year-old in 1980s South Africa, it was a significant moment. It was proof that code in his head could become something real in the world. Chapter 2. Seeing a Bigger World. Growing up in South Africa, Musk watched the larger world from afar. The country was under international sanctions. Apartheid rigidly segregated society. Mandatory military service loomed for young men, service that at the time helped enforce an oppressive system. Elon didn't want to participate. Apartheid. He didn't want to stay in South Africa at all. From his teens, he fixated on the United States, seeing it as the center of technology and innovation. But going directly from South Africa to America wasn't simple. There was another path. His mother, May, had been born in Canada, which made Elon eligible for Canadian citizenship. Canada, he reasoned, could be a stepping stone to the U.S. At 17, with a small bag and not much money, Elon Musk left South Africa. He moved to Canada, working odd jobs, on farms, in a lumber mill, at a boiler room cleaning job he says was so dirty and dangerous he quit after a few days. Eventually, he enrolled at Queen's University in Kingston, Ontario. There, he was still the awkward, intensely focused outsider, someone more interested in ideas than parties. Friends remember long conversations about the future of energy, space, and the fate of civilization. Behind the social awkwardness, a pattern was emerging. He was always thinking in terms, decades or centuries, not just years. After 2 years at Queen's, he transferred to the University of Pennsylvania in the United States. He studied physics and economics, an unusual combination that would come to define his approach. Use the first principles of physics to think about technology, and use economics to build businesses around it. He earned 2 bachelor's degrees, one in physics from the College of Arts and Sciences, and one in economics from the Wharton School. Then, as the internet was emerging in the mid-1990s, he faced a choice: continue on an academic path. He had been accepted into a PhD program in applied physics at Stanford, or dive into the exploding world of startups. He lasted at Stanford for just 2 days. The internet wave was breaking. He didn't want to watch from the shore. Chapter 3. First Company, First Exit. Zip2. In 1995, Silicon Valley was a different universe. No smartphones. No social media. The idea of buying things online was still strange to people. But Elon Musk believed the internet would transform everything. Together with his younger brother Kimball and a small team, he launched his first company, Zip2. The concept was simple, but ahead of its time. Online city guides for newspapers, maps, directions, and business listings that could live on the web. It was the age of dial-up connections and noisy modems. Many newspapers were still figuring out what the internet even was. But Musk and his team worked obsessively, sleeping in the office, showering at the local YMCA, coding through the night. The work ethic that would later become infamous was already there. Zip2 struggled at first, but eventually they started landing deals. Major newspapers, including the New York Times and the Chicago Tribune, used Zip2's software to power parts of their online presence. In 1999, the computer giant Compaq acquired Zip2 for roughly $307 million in cash and stock. Elon Musk's share made him a multi-millionaire in his late 20s. For most people, that would be more than enough. But not for him. Chapter 4. Reinventing Money, XCOM and PayPal. With money in his bank account and the dot-com era at full tilt, Musk could have retired. Instead, he went after something even more fundamental than news: money itself. In 1999, he founded XCOM, an online financial services and email payments company. At the time, banking was still largely offline. Transferring money meant checks, wires, visits to branches. Musk believed that money was essentially information and that it should move on the internet as easily as email. XCOM allowed users to send money to each other online with just an email address. It was a bold, risky idea, navigating complex financial regulations and deep public mistrust. Around the same time, another company, Confinity, was building a similar product called PayPal. Eventually, the two companies merged. Internal clashes followed over direction, technology choices, and leadership style. Musk, known for his intensity and demands, was at the center of many of these debates. In 2000, while Musk was on a trip, the board replaced him as CEO. It was an early reminder that even founders can be pushed out. But despite the turmoil, the product took off. Online merchants adopted it. eBay sellers started using it. PayPal became synonymous with online payments. In 2002, eBay acquired PayPal for $1.5 billion in stock. Elon Musk, one of the largest shareholders, walked away with a fortune, around $180 million before taxes. A second exit. Now he was financially set for life. What he did next would define him. Chapter 5. turning money into rockets. In the early 2000s, most people with hundreds of millions of dollars bought islands, yachts, or sports teams. Elon Musk bought rockets. He had been obsessed with space since childhood. Reading science fiction as a boy in South Africa, he had internalized one idea. For humanity to survive long-term, we needed to become a multiplanetary species. At the time, NASA's budget was under political pressure. The space shuttle program was aging. The dream of humans exploring Mars felt farther away than it had in the 1960s. Musk started with a more modest idea, an educational mission to Mars called Mars Oasis, a small greenhouse that would land on the red planet and grow plants, capturing the world's imagination. He traveled to Russia, hoping to buy refurbished intercontinental ballistic missiles that could be repurposed as cheap launch vehicles. The trips did not go well. The rockets were expensive. The negotiations were tense. At one meeting, he was reportedly dismissed as not being serious. On the flight home, he did something that would change his life and spaceflight forever. He opened a spreadsheet. Instead of accepting rocket prices as fixed, he broke down the raw material costs: aluminum, titanium, fuel, electronics. He concluded that the underlying materials for a rocket was only a small fraction of what companies were charging. If you designed and manufactured rockets from first principles, rather than following aerospace industry traditions, you could, in theory, drastically lower the cost. Why buy a rocket, he reasoned, when you can build one? In 2002, using roughly $100 million of his own money, Elon Musk founded Space Exploration Technologies, better known as SpaceX. Almost no one in the established space industry took them seriously. Chapter 6: Space. Fail, 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 then fly. The early years of SpaceX were defined by one word: failure. Musk recruited a small group of engineers, many young and hungry, some veterans disillusioned with traditional aerospace, and set up shop in El Segundo, California, and on a remote island in the Pacific called Omelek, part of the Kwajalein Atoll. Their first rocket was the Falcon 1, named partly in honor of the Millennium Falcon from Star Wars. It was a small launcher designed to put modest payloads into orbit at a low cost. The first launch attempt came in 2006. It exploded. The second launch, in 2007, failed to reach orbit. The third, in 2008, also failed, losing not only the rocket, but several small satellites, including a NASA payload. Each launch cost millions. Each failure damaged the company's reputation and drained Musk's personal fortune. By 2008, SpaceX was nearing bankruptcy. At the same time, another of Musk's bold bets, electric cars, was also in deep trouble. Chapter 7: Betting on an uncool idea, electric cars. In the early 2000s, electric cars had a terrible reputation. They were seen as slow, ugly, and limited. Something for environmentalists, not car enthusiasts. Musk saw it differently. He believed that to tackle climate change and reduce dependence on fossil fuels, the world needed to electrify transportation at scale, and he believed technology was finally catching up. Battery performance was improve. Power electronics were advancing. In 2004, he invested in a young startup called Tesla Motors, founded by engineers Martin Eberhard and Mark Tarpenning. Tesla's idea was radical: build a high-performance electric sports car, something that could go toe-to-toe with traditional sports cars, but with zero tailpipe emissions. Musk became Tesla's largest investor and chairman of the board. Over time, as leadership conflicts emerged, he took a more active role in the company, Eventually, he became CEO. But Tesla's early years were rough. The company's first car, the Tesla Roadster, faced delays, cost overruns, and technical problems. Batteries were expensive. Manufacturing was harder than expected. Early prototypes revealed flaws that required redesigns. By 2008, Tesla was running out of money. At that moment, with the global financial crisis unfolding, Elon Musk had two companies teetering on the edge of collapse: SpaceX and Tesla. He had made hundreds of millions of dollars from his earlier ventures. By late 2008, he had poured almost all of it into these companies. Personally, he was near broke. Chapter 8, 2008, the year everything almost died. In the fall of 2008, SpaceX prepared for its fourth attempt to reach orbit with the Falcon 1. The stakes could not have been higher. 3 failures had already nearly destroyed the company. Investors were wary. Critics were vocal. If the fourth rocket failed, SpaceX might be finished. Elon Musk later described this as either the best of times or the worst of times. On September 28, 2008, the Falcon 1 lifted off from the remote Pacific Island launch site. This time, it worked. The rocket reached orbit, making SpaceX the first privately funded company to put a liquid-fueled rocket into Earth orbit. It was a historic milestone. But SpaceX was still financially fragile. Then a lifeline. Just months later, NASA awarded SpaceX a major contract through its Commercial Resupply Services program, paying the company to deliver cargo to the International Space Station. This contract didn't just bring in money. It gave SpaceX credibility. At Tesla, things were just as dire. The financial crisis had choked off investment. Tesla needed cash to survive. Musk and a small group of investors scraped together a last-minute funding round. Musk reportedly chose to put his remaining personal money into the company, rather than keep a safety net for himself. Tesla survived by inches. In 2010, Tesla went public, becoming the first American car company to launch an IPO since Ford in 1956. Both companies, SpaceX and Tesla, had made it through their near-death experiences. But their biggest challenges were still ahead. Chapter 9. Redefining spaceflight. With the Falcon 1's success behind them and a crucial NASA contract in hand, SpaceX scaled up. The next rocket? Falcon 9. Larger. More. Designed from the start to carry not just cargo, but eventually astronauts. Traditional rockets were effectively disposable. They burned through hundreds of millions of dollars of hardware in minutes and dropped spent stages into the ocean. Elon Musk thought that was insane. Imagine if every commercial flight ended with the plane being scrapped. Tickets would cost millions. SpaceX set out to build reusable rockets, launch vehicles that could take off, deliver a payload, and then return to Earth and land, ready to be refurbished and flown again. At first, it sounded like science fiction, but SpaceX began testing. Small prototypes soared up on columns of fire and tried to land vertically. Some tests ended in explosions, what Musk would later joke about as rapid, unscheduled disassemblies. Slowly, they improved. In 2012, a Dragon capsule built by SpaceX became the first commercial spacecraft to dock with the International Space Station and return cargo safely to Earth. In 2015, SpaceX successfully landed a Falcon 9 first-stage booster back on land for the first time. Then, on a drone ship at sea. What had once been laughed off as impossible was now playing out live on screens around the world. Rockets descending, engines firing, landing legs deploying, and then, remarkably, touching down upright. spaceflight was changing. Over the next years, Falcon 9 and the heavy-lift Falcon Heavy flew dozens of times, carrying satellites, scientific missions, and commercial payloads to orbit. The cost per launch dropped compared to traditional options. In 2020, SpaceX made history again, launching NASA astronauts to the International Space Station aboard Crew Dragon, the first crewed orbital launch from U.S. soil since the Space Shuttle retired in 2011. SpaceX was no longer a strange startup. It was now one of the most important aerospace companies on Earth. Behind it all, pushing, demanding, sometimes berating, often inspiring, was Elon Musk. Chapter 10. Tesla changes the car industry. While SpaceX was learning to land rockets, Tesla was fighting a different battle against the inertia of a century-old auto industry. Tesla's second car, the Model S, launched in 2012. It was a luxury electric sedan with long range, high performance, and a giant touchscreen in the center console that looked more like a tablet than a car control panel. Critics were impressed. The Model S won numerous awards. It dazzled automotive journalists with its acceleration and handling. And importantly, it showed the public that an electric car could be both practical and desirable. But Tesla wasn't just selling cars. It was trying to rewire how cars were made, sold, and updated. Instead of a traditional dealer network, Tesla sold directly to consumers, both online and through company-owned showrooms. The car's software could receive over-the-air updates, adding new features and improving performance without a trip to the service center. Next came the Model X, an SUV with dramatic falcon wing doors and advanced safety systems. It was ambitious, but plagued by delays and production challenges. Behind the scenes, Tesla's factories struggled. Musk pushed for extreme automation, robots everywhere, a machine that builds the machine. Critics said he was trying to leap too far ahead. Musk would later admit that over-automation was a mistake, that people were better at certain tasks than robots. Around this time, Tesla also introduced Autopilot, its driver assistance system. Using cameras, radar, and software, the car could steer, accelerate, and brake on highways under driver supervision. Musk described it as a step toward full self-driving capability, a distant goal that Tesla has been pursuing aggressively and controversially ever since. With each step, Tesla was not just making cars, it was transforming expectations. By the mid-2010s, nearly every major car manufacturer in the world had announced or expanded electric vehicle programs. Some cited Tesla as a catalyst that forced them to take EVs seriously. At the same time, criticism and controversy grew. Safety advocates and experts accused Tesla of overstating Autopilot's capabilities, pointing to crashes where drivers appeared to over-rely on the system. Labor groups and critics accused the company of harsh working conditions and union-busting efforts, which Tesla has denied or disputed. The stock market, meanwhile, was on a roller coaster. Tesla's share price swung wildly as investors debated whether it was the car company of the future or a fragile bubble headed for collapse. Through it all, Musk doubled down. Chapter 11: Gigafactories and a World of Electricity. Elon Musk often says he thinks from first principles, breaking problems down to physics and fundamentals. If the world was going to transition to electric vehicles and renewable energy, it needed something beyond flashy cars. It needed batteries, lots of them. In 2014, Tesla announced plans for a massive new kind of factory, a gigafactory, that would produce batteries at an unprecedented scale. The first gigafactory, built in Nevada, was designed to dramatically lower the cost of lithium-ion cells through economies of scale and closer integration with battery partner Panasonic. Batteries weren't just for cars. Tesla expanded into energy storage with products like the Powerwall and PowerPack, large battery systems for homes, businesses, and utilities. These systems could store energy from solar panels or the grid and release it when needed, helping smooth out the variability of renewable power. Musk also took a major step into solar energy. In 2016, Tesla acquired SolarCity, a solar installation company co-founded by his cousins. He framed the deal as part of a broader mission to create a vertically integrated, sustainable energy company, solar generation, battery storage, and electric vehicles, all under one roof. Critics saw conflicts of interest. Musk was the chairman of both companies. Some shareholders accused him of orchestrating a bailout for SolarCity, which was facing financial challenges. A lawsuit followed. Years later, a Delaware judge ruled in Musk's favor, finding that the deal was fair enough to shareholders. With gigafactories, batteries, and solar, Musk's vision was expanding outward, from making compelling electric cars to reshaping the broader energy ecosystem. Meanwhile, Tesla continued to roll out new vehicles. The Model 3, announced as a more affordable mass-market sedan, triggered hundreds of thousands of pre-orders. But delivering on that promise meant scaling production to levels Tesla had never attempted. What followed, Musk would call production hell. Chapter 12: Production Hell and the Edge of Exhaustion. Around 2017 and 2018, Tesla's future again hung in the balance. The Model 3 factory in Fremont, California, once a General Motors and Toyota joint venture plant, was being pushed to its limits. Musk famously set up additional production lines in large tents outside the main factory to keep up. Robots malfunctioned, supply chains became bottlenecks, quality control struggled to keep pace. Musk was, by his own telling, working nearly around the clock. He said he slept on the factory floor. Employees described a relentless culture, exhilarating for some, punishing for others. Tesla was burning cash at a rapid rate. Short sellers bet heavily against the company, predicting bankruptcy. The media published story after story, questioning whether Tesla could survive. In 2018, amid intense pressure, Musk posted a tweet that would get him into trouble. He wrote that he was considering taking Tesla private at $420 per share and claimed he had funding secured. The U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission disagreed. They charged Musk with securities fraud, arguing that his statements were misleading and lacked adequate basis. The conflict ended in a settlement. Musk stepped down as chairman of Tesla for a period of time, paid a fine, and agreed to certain constraints around tweeting about Tesla's business. He remained CEO. Despite the chaos, Tesla eventually ramped up production of the Model 3. Quality improved. Deliveries scaled. By the early 2020s, Tesla had become the world's most valuable car company by market capitalization, at times surpassing the combined value of several legacy automakers. Its success also made Elon Musk, at various points, the richest person in the world. Chapter 13: The Hyperloop, the Boring Company, and Neuralink. Even as SpaceX and Tesla consumed enormous amounts of time, Musk kept spinning up new ideas and companies. In 2013, he published a white paper describing the Hyperloop, a conceptual high-speed transportation system where pods carrying passengers would travel in low-pressure tubes at speeds comparable to air travel. Musk said he wasn't planning to build it himself, but wanted to spur innovation. Several startups later emerged, trying to turn the Hyperloop concept into reality, with mixed results and major engineering and regulatory challenges. In 2016, stuck in Los Angeles traffic, Musk tweeted that he was going to start a tunnel-digging company, half joke, half declaration. He called it the Boring Company. The idea? Reduce surface traffic by building a network of underground tunnels for vehicles or pods. Critics questioned its feasibility and safety compared to more traditional mass transit. Supporters saw it as a creative attack on urban congestion. The Boring Company dug test tunnels and pursued projects in several cities, with some small-scale implementations and many announcements, cancellations, and revisions as plans met real-world regulation and logistics. That same year, Musk publicly unveiled Neuralink. This time, the target was not cars, not rockets, not tunnels, but the human brain itself. Neuralink's mission was to develop brain-computer interfaces, tiny, flexible electrodes that could be surgically implanted in the brain to record and stimulate neural activity. The long-term vision Musk described was ambitious. Treat neurological disorders, help paralyzed patients control devices with their thoughts, eventually even merge human cognition with artificial intelligence to prevent humans from being left behind. Scientists and ethicists raised concerns about safety, ethics, and hype. Many experts in neuroscience noted that the field was advancing, but fundamental questions about the brain remained unsolved. Neuralink conducted experiments on animals and by the early 2020s began steps toward human trials under close regulatory scrutiny. Across these ventures, a pattern was clear. Musk tended to target big, abstract problems: traffic, human-computer integration, high-speed travel, then build companies that blurred the line between serious engineering and aggressive futurism. Chapter 14: Artificial Intelligence and Open AI. Long before ChatGPT and large-scale AI entered public conversation, Elon Musk was thinking and worrying about artificial intelligence. He became one of several tech leaders to warn publicly that superintelligent AI, if developed without proper safeguards, could pose serious risks to humanity. In 2015, he joined others in co-founding OpenAI, a research organization dedicated to advancing digital intelligence in a way that, in its words, was safe and beneficial for humanity. OpenAI started as a nonprofit with a focus on open research and collaboration. Over time, OpenAI evolved, creating a for-profit capped subsidiary to attract capital and developing increasingly powerful language models and AI systems. Musk eventually parted ways with OpenAI, leaving its board and criticizing some of its decisions, including partnerships and the degree of openness around its most advanced systems. In later years, as generative AI took off, Musk went on to support or launch his own AI efforts, arguing that the space needed more competition, transparency, or different values. He remained both a vocal critic of AI risks and an active participant in the race to build advanced systems. His relationship with AI, like so many parts of his story, was marked by paradox, warning of danger while pushing hard on the accelerator. Chapter 15: Starlink and Rewriting the Internet from Orbit. Back at SpaceX, rockets were only part of the plan. Musk worried that traditional satellite internet was too slow, too expensive, and too limited, especially for people in rural or underserved regions. The solution, as he saw it, thousands of small satellites in low Earth orbit, working together to beam internet connectivity to almost anywhere on the globe. This was Starlink, launched under SpaceX's umbrella. Starlink satellites began flying in batches aboard Falcon 9 rockets. Over time, the constellation grew into the thousands. User terminals, small dish antennas, allowed people to connect from remote areas. The system made headlines for providing connectivity in disaster zones and war-torn regions, as well as for its geopolitical implications. Astronomers expressed concern about the impact on the night sky. Starlink satellites sometimes appeared as bright streaks interfering with astronomical observations. SpaceX responded with measures to reduce reflectivity and adjust operations, though debates continued. Starlink also tested a new business model for Musk's empire. SpaceX wasn't just launching satellites for others. It was becoming a telecommunications provider itself. Chapter 16: Starship. Building the big rocket. SpaceX's Falcon rockets changed the economics of getting to orbit. But they were still limited compared to what Musk ultimately wanted: a fully reusable system capable of carrying large numbers of people and cargo to the Moon, Mars, and beyond. This was Starship. Developed at a site in South Texas known as Starbase, near the town of Boca Chica, Starship is a two-stage system: a giant booster called Super Heavy, and a spacecraft on top called Starship. Both stages are designed to be fully reusable, launching, separating, then returning to Earth for a controlled landing. It is the largest, most powerful rocket system ever built. The early years of Starship testing looked from a distance like science fiction, and sometimes like a demolition derby. Prototypes leapt into the sky, attempted complex flips, and often ended in explosions. SpaceX live-streamed many of these tests. Elon Musk often treated the failures as data points, dramatic, fiery steps toward a long-term goal. Over multiple tests, Starship vehicles progressed from short hops to high-altitude flights, and then toward full-stack launches with both booster and ship. Starship is central to Musk's vision of making humanity multiplanetary. It is also involved in NASA's plans for returning astronauts to the Moon under the Artemis program, with a version of Starship selected as a lunar lander. The project is as ambitious as anything Musk has ever attempted, and as controversial, raising environmental, safety, and regulatory questions as immense as the rocket itself. Chapter 17: Personal Life, Love, Loss, and Scrutiny. While Musk's companies grew, his personal life unfolded in parallel, often under intense public scrutiny. He married Canadian author Justine Wilson in 2000. The couple had 6 children together, one of whom died of sudden infant death syndrome as an infant, a tragedy Musk has rarely spoken about publicly. The couple later divorced. He then married British actress Tallulah Riley, divorced, remarried her, and divorced again. Later, he entered a relationship with the musician Claire Boucher, known as Grimes. The two had children together. Parts of their relationship and their children's unusual names became the subject of fascination and memes online. In total, Musk has had multiple children with different partners. He has spoken about wanting to have a large family and worrying about declining birth rates. He has also discussed his mental health candidly at times, mentioning periods of deep stress and difficulty, especially during moments when his companies were on the brink. Around him, stories circulated of extreme work hours, intense expectations, sudden firings, fierce loyalty for some employees, and harsh criticism for others. Supporters described him as demanding but inspiring. Detractors described him as volatile and, at times, abusive in his management style. As his fame grew, every aspect of his life, tweets, relationships, business decisions, became fuel for headlines, documentaries, books, and debate. The boundary between Elon Musk, the private individual, and Elon Musk, the symbol, largely disappeared. Chapter 18: Twitter, Speech, and Power. For years, Elon Musk used Twitter, which he later renamed X, as his direct line to the world. He announced product updates, trolled critics, shared memes, and moved markets with a few words. Sometimes, those tweets brought inspiration and levity. Other times, they sparked lawsuits, SEC investigations, or intense political controversy. In 2022, his relationship with the platform took a dramatic turn. After criticizing Twitter's content moderation policies and expressing concern about free speech and bias, Musk began buying shares of the company. Eventually, he made an offer to acquire Twitter outright. The deal was messy. Musk agreed to buy the company, tried to back out, citing concerns over bots and fake accounts, and was then sued by Twitter's board to force the completion of the merger. In October 2022, the acquisition closed. Musk became the owner of one of the world's most influential social media platforms. What followed was a period of rapid and often chaotic change. Musk fired much of the staff, including many senior executives. He altered moderation policies, reinstated some previously banned accounts, and launched new subscription and verification schemes. Supporters praised his moves as a push for freer speech and innovation. Critics accused him of enabling harassment, misinformation, and instability on a critical public communication platform. Advertising revenue fluctuated as brands reacted to the new environment. Governments, activists, and commentators debated the implications of a single billionaire owning and reshaping a global digital public square. Musk rebranded Twitter as X, part of a broader vision to turn it into a so-called everything app, combining social media, payments, and more. The company's long-term trajectory remains uncertain. But one reality is clear. Musk's influence now extends not just from Earth to orbit, but across much of the digital conversation that shapes public life. Chapter 19: Controversy, Critique, and Cult of Personality. Elon Musk is not a neutral figure. His supporters see him as a once-in-a-generation innovator, someone willing to tackle problems governments and incumbents won't. They credit him with pushing electric vehicles into the mainstream, lowering the cost of spaceflight, and reinvigorating public excitement about science and engineering. His critics see something more troubling. They point to Musk himself often frames his work in existential terms: climate change, multiplanetary survival, AI risks. To some, this is inspiring. To others, it's a grand narrative that can justify extreme decisions and overshadow nuances and trade-offs. What is undeniable is that his story is entwined with nearly every major technological shift of the early 21st century. Chapter 20: Legacy in Progress. So who is Elon Musk? A boy who escaped into science fiction and then tried to turn it into reality. An entrepreneur who risked his fortune, more than once, on companies that looked like bad bets at the time. An online bank, a rocket startup, an electric car company in a world dominated by gasoline, a brain-computer interface project, a vast satellite internet network, and a social media platform in turmoil. A CEO whose methods are as controversial as his goals are ambitious. Under his leadership, Tesla helped trigger a global wave toward electric vehicles. SpaceX lowered launch costs, landed rockets, and became a critical partner in global space infrastructure. Satellite internet, brain interfaces, giant reusable rockets, AI safety research, and online public discourse all bear his fingerprints. Yet his story is far from finished. Projects like Starship, Neuralink, the broader energy transition, advanced AI, and X's role in the information ecosystem are all still developing. They raise profound questions. How should society balance innovation with safety? What checks should exist on individuals who command both immense wealth and control over critical technologies? Can one person's vision, no matter how bold, be a reliable guide for humanity's future? As of now, Elon Musk continues to lead multiple companies simultaneously, juggling rockets, cars, satellites, chips, tunnels, and social platforms. There are signs of exhaustion at times, signs of overreach, and also signs that some of his once ridiculed ideas, like mass-market EVs and reusable rockets, have altered entire industries. In the end, the full legacy of Elon Musk will be written not only in stock prices or headlines, but in the air we breathe, the energy we use, the vehicles we drive, the infrastructure orbiting overhead, and perhaps one day in footprints on worlds beyond Earth. For now, his life remains a rare and volatile combination of genius and controversy, daring and disruption. A story of a man who time and again chose to bet everything, money, reputation, sleep, relationships, on a vision of the future that many found unbelievable until it wasn't. As we come closer to the end of this video, take a moment to reflect on everything we've just explored. This wasn't just information. This was a journey through ideas, moments, struggles, and truths that shape the world around us. Sometimes, the most powerful lessons don't shout, they whisper, and only those who listen carefully truly understand them. What we've seen today reminds us of one important truth. Nothing happens overnight. Every change, big or small, is the result of choices, actions, and persistence over time. I want to sincerely thank you for watching this video till the very end. Your time matters. Your attention matters, and your support means more than you think. Videos like, if you found value in this video, please give it a like. Subscribe to the channel for more powerful stories and meaningful content like this. Turn on the notification bell so you don't miss what's coming next. Until then, keep thinking. Keep growing, and I will. If no one has told you this today, let me say it now. You are capable of more than you think. The path you're walking is not easy, and it was never meant to be. But difficulty is not a sign to quit. It's a sign that growth is happening. There will be days when motivation disappears, when progress feels invisible, and when giving up seems easier than continuing. On those days, don't rely on motivation. Rely on discipline, because discipline stays when motivation leaves. Remember, every successful person you admire was once invisible, unheard, and doubted. They didn't win because they were special. They won because they refused to stop when things got uncomfortable. Your past does not define you. Your mistakes do not control you. And your current situation is not your final destination. You are allowed to restart. You are allowed to grow. You are allowed to become someone new. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Perfect moments don't exist.